It's when they have this entitled attitude and they don't know their history. And I can't sit there and teach them black history. I don't know black history, but I do.
Okay, so you're saying that they don't know their history, but you don't know their history either, so you're going to still call them out for it. Hey, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'm Jerry. I left MAGA, and I have a particular example of MAGA researchers. It's just two individuals in this case, so it's the sample size is really small. But having been a MAGA streamer, I can attest to this being pretty standard for these cats. It's yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this because this one's kind of personal for me. I've sat on at least one panel with Drunk Pinata back when I was a MAGA streamer. So let's do this.
Well, hello everyone. It is Saturday. It is July 11th, and it is my great pleasure to reintroduce everybody to Mark Denham. Great. You know, and at least at the moment.
Oh, also, that fade there is because I cut out the personal chatter where they were just getting caught up with each other. I didn't think that mattered to the general reason why I'm addressing this. And I became aware of this because an associate of mine let me know about it.
It seems to be a little bit of a lull. There's a few stories that are narratives that are kind of really dominating, but a lot of the most crazy stuff. I mean, these people are still deranged. I mean, they're still providing plenty of content. Yeah. They're still making videos every day. That's not going to stop. But as far as the topics, it seems as though they may have less to gripe about. It seems as though, yeah, some of the same topics will pick back up. They'll bring up the Epstein files. They'll bring up the Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk case. They'll bring up different types of Trump did this with the reflecting pool thing, or whatever the little whatever the narrative du jour happens to be. There's definitely no shortage of those things, but it seems to be a little bit quiet, a little too quiet sometimes.
A little too quiet sometimes. I think maybe you've been watching too many movies.
Well, what I find is going on, if you go on TikTok and you dig and you dig and you dig, you find content all over the place.
And why do you have to dig so deep to get to that liberal content? Could it have anything to do with the Ellisons taking over the platform? Just ask it. Just ask it.
I find there's a lot of the right-wing influencers that are on X that we would normally all rely on to say, all right, let's go see what type of clips this guy's pulled up today. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have drifted off of doing it. And a lot of them have kind of turned not anti-Trump, but they're kind of on the fence now. Like they don't agree with certain narratives. Mm-hmm. This whole war with Iran thing has really stirred up a lot of shit with people.
Yeah.
And I find, say about 3 or 4 of my usual guys that I'll just check to get some quick clips to at least get me started for content. Mm-hmm. On X, they're not really pumping them out anymore like they used to. So it's like, I gotta go, and yeah, unfortunately, I gotta go and do more of the legwork now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, you gotta go do your own research. I thought that's what you guys did anyway. How come you're not out there cruising YouTube and looking for the content yourself? How come you're not going out and grabbing these clips?
TikTok and into the actual crazy that I actually don't get much into that platform in particular, but I mean, is it at least somewhat searchable?
That's what I find. You more or less got to know the way how you'll find stuff is you find one crazy deranged like woke tard, right? And then you look at like which other content do they repost, mm-hmm. and then what do they repost, and what do they repost, and you're going down a rabbit hole that way. If you're just searching for, I don't know, I guess keywords, mm-hmm. you'll find stuff, but it starts to turn old fast.
I guess.
If you search up like July 4th, you'll pull up stuff from July 4th from last year really quick.
All right, I want to explain what Drunk Pinata has done here by pulling up these two chat feeds. This one is the platform called Pilled. This one is from a platform called Rumble. They're both Trump-centric platforms, but this allows their live stream, which is on both platforms, allows their audiences to cross-communicate. I know of at least one content creator in the MAGAverse that he will aggregate as many as 6 or 8 stream chats at the same time, which allows for a whole lot of crosstalk. So his streams aren't actually about the streams, it's about the comms. It's not about the content, it's about the communications.
Yeah, so the searchability is not great on TikTok, but there's tons of content.
Very cool, very cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump into some clips here.
And they're getting ready to show you why I'm here. You can look at that logo up there and get a pretty good clue.
Couple things that I came across somewhat recently.
It's really a cheap.
I'd like to show you here about how. Let me make sure I can get this all set up right. There's been this group of people that kind of do essentially struggle sessions. I mean, if you're not familiar with struggle sessions during socialism, they essentially, if you do a bad thing against the against the community, that you have to go up and you have to atone. And so this is
just that's so typical of MAGA men to not understand how therapy works.
So liberal and leftist.
Yeah. So here you go. Check this out.
No, it's human to want to make amends for mistakes that you've made in the past. It's like MLK said, what affects one directly affects all indirectly. So those of us who were MAGA, those of us who contributed to that damage and are trying to rectify our behavior because we're making better choices and better decisions, just trying to be a better person than we were yesterday. And these cats, you can hear a lot of other content creators. They'll tell you, especially any of the gals that are talking about purity culture, and it doesn't matter what flavor of purity culture it is. It's all about the patriarchy. It's all about I'm right, you're wrong. You have to change to my ways. So when somebody decides to think for themselves, it becomes problematic. I have a great example of that for later.
Real quick. Watch this guy have to apologize for himself.
Achievable.
It's called healing.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Rich Logis, Executive Director and founder of LeavingMAGA. It's a great honor to be with you tonight. As is customary, before I usually speak with any group, I would like to first apologize for my past MAGA activism.
And I've done this. And I do apologize for my past MAGA activism. That's why I'm exposing myself for my past behaviors and how I'm making a difference now. But Rich is going to make a statement here, and I want you to take note of the response sequence that happens from these guys.
Had I met all of you when I was in MAGA, I would have deemed each and every one of you to be an existential threat. And for that, I'm sorry. You did not deserve to be dehumanized in that way. This is now our third year.
So there you go.
This guy's so fake. He's so fake.
I know.
All right. So, yeah. I'm working on my nails, by the way. So they're trying to claim that Rich is fake, and I can attest to the fact that he's not. We're going to get a little deeper into that here in a moment, but I'm going to fill in the gaps that they intentionally leave behind.
I don't believe he was ever MAGA.
No, I bring this up because I ran into this because I was like, what has this guy been doing recently? Because I remember this guy from 2022, 2023. He was kind of, and he's was all over with Midas Touch, this which kind of gave the whole game away. There's no chance that guy is former MAGA and doing all this. But
now I'm going to address that Midas Touch thing here after a while. It's going to be in the extras section towards the end of the video. But yeah. We're going to get into all that later. Let me go ahead and address something here. This is the LeavingMAGA.org webpage, and this is Rich Logis. He's our founder, and as you can see here, we empower people to leave MAGA and tell their stories. We foster reconciliation with friends and family. We develop movement leaders to help others leave. Now, see, that third one is where I fall in. But what these cats aren't understanding, what these guys over here aren't understanding, is that reconciliation thing, because they don't recognize that they've done anything wrong. So I've got this other thing lined up real quick. Let me introduce you to Rich.
This is Rich Logis, Executive Director of LeavingMAGA. I'm one of those who fell down the MAGA wormhole. For 6 years, I was very active. I had a regular radio gig, and I wrote op-eds for far-right outlets, hazing Democrats, owning the libs with the best of them. I even started my own MAGA podcast. I was all in. And yet here I am, talking with you today. Before I go any further, I would like to apologize for the harm I have caused our country. I am speaking out to make amends for my past deeds and rhetoric. My journey into and out of MAGA was circuitous. I drifted into its orbit as a fierce independent. From an early age, I mistrusted both political parties. I thought They didn't care about the people. In the 2000 presidential election, when I was 23, I voted for Ralph Nader. Over the years, that strong independent streak never faded. By the time Trump came along, I was primed to fall for a guy who promised to obliterate the established political order. The spark of my liberation actually was struck by my governor, Ron DeSantis. It was the summer of 2021. I was already harboring doubts about MAGA since I never believed the 2020 election was stolen, but for all intents and purposes, I was still very much on the team. COVID was ravaging the nation. By this point, the summer of 2021, roughly 650,000 Americans had died from the disease. I began to see news stories about a surge in COVID deaths in Florida from the Delta variant. Children's hospitals were getting overcrowded, and some kids were dying. I was getting freaked out. My older girl was 5, and my youngest was just 2. I couldn't get the images out of my mind, the desperate parents in intensive care units, in morgues. For months, Governor DeSantis had treated the pandemic properly, that is, as a grave threat to public health. Then one day, out of the blue, he did a 180. He platformed anti-vax cranks and crackpot COVID conspiracists. The vaccine will change your RNA. It has a better chance of killing or harming you than COVID. That sort of drivel. The next day, a reporter asked him about the kooks. DeSantis said he couldn't remember what the speakers had said. The day before, at his press conference, I was furious that he was taking me for an idiot, and that drove me to take a fateful step. I left the MAGA echo chamber. I picked up papers I hadn't read since before MAGA. They were part of what I had dubbed on my podcast and in my articles, the Democrat media industrial complex, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic. So I was once again consuming actual journalism. Then I learned that some of DeSantis' staffers were spreading conspiracy theories about a biomedical security state run by who else? The Jews. The whole sickening experience drove me to take another fateful step. I went back and learned everything that had happened in the run-up to and on the day of January 6th. At the time of the attack, I took the MAGA position that the Democrats and national media were blowing what happened way out of proportion. I stopped paying attention to coverage of it. I had also told myself that the extremists, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, were just hangers-on, political dilettantes who were there for the excitement rather than the politics. But I soon came to learn that these groups were far from irrelevant. In fact, they were Trump's allies, which meant they were my allies. I was complicit. I felt rage, confusion, shock, and most acutely shame. I was inextricably linked to the domestic terrorists I had once yawned at. And yet, it took me another year to truly walk away from MAGA. I call it my year of heaven and hell. I came to realize that ever since I joined MAGA, I had never really taken a break from the trauma, the desperation, and the panic that were part and parcel of being a dedicated MAGA American. But I was wholly invested in MAGA. It was my family, my purpose. My identity and social status depended on it. It was excruciating to even consider cutting myself off from what had become my community. My internal tug of war was intense. My conscience and profound doubts battled with the fear of losing my community. I spent a lot of sleepless nights fighting with myself. Finally, in July 2022, I quietly left MAGA. I almost immediately felt that my private act, however, was insufficient. I published my mea culpa a month later at Occupy Democrats. Eventually, I felt that going public with my story was like spitting into a storm, and I had to do more. So I founded Leaving MAGA. Our mission is to empower people to leave MAGA and tell their stories, and to help people with friends and family in the movement figure out ways to break through and reconnect with their loved ones. We are a safe, non-judgmental community. We know there are lots of MAGA Americans who are having doubts. Spreading the word far and wide about others who have left can help give them the courage to take the leap. We've gotten some attention from national media, and I was honored to address last summer's Democratic National Convention to endorse Kamala Harris. We all know that a lot of young men have fallen under Trump's thrall. If anyone's going to get through to them, it's going to be their peers. Let's figure out ways we can collaborate. Leaving MAGA's fight is your fight.
And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So let's get back to Drunk Pinata and his take on Leaving MAGA now that we have full context on Rich's statement.
They did a recent video article.
Oh, and remember that COVID denial thing that Rich made reference to.
With MS Now, and brought this group in, and some of the things that they're saying, I had to show it to you, and I apologize to my audience that has seen this a couple weeks ago, but I have to show Mark this clip. So this is that same group, and one of these new MS Now guys that they're getting out to go, new on the ground reporter type person, went and found these guys, and I just have to show it to you. It's insane. So.
There are growing signs that President Trump's MAGA base is fracturing, with high-profile defections by former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and influencer Ashley St. Clair, and recent polling that indicates that the overall number of people who identify as Republican is shrinking. But for the diehard, leaving MAGA isn't easy. When you were a part of the MAGA movement, how deep were you?
I was as deep as anyone could have been. I was an aspiring MAGA pundit. I had bylines in places like Fox and The Federalist. I spoke at Trump groups. I was a donor on the campaign. I was unapologetically a MAGA and Trump supporter.
Rich Logus is the founder and CEO of Leaving MAGA, a nonprofit for those disillusioned.
Now, do you think it's possible for him to have been a Republican and a Trump supporter? I mean, I think that's could be. It could be. I noticed that he was.
It's like.
So now they're doubting his confession. They're doubting his admission. They're doubting his credentials. He would not have been allowed to work in those journalistic environments, given his statement, without actually being MAGA. So with them just making fun of or ridiculing Rich's apology at the beginning of his statement and then ignoring the rest of it is just, what's a good word? Asinine? Yeah, that's probably a good word for it.
He's only got a few testimonials on there too if you go through his site.
Oh, yeah,
when I did that whole Leaving MAGA thing last year, I bumped into this guy quite a bit, and he talked about all these people that have reached out to him. It's like, all right, how come you only have like 7 testimonials?
All right, let's address that. We are going to go back over here to the LeavingMAGA.org website, and we're going to click on these 3 little bars up here, and we're going to go to They Left MAGA, and we're going to notice that there's 4 per row, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. That's 32. Not 6 or 7. You'll find my testimonial over there. And this is Jenny Gage of Live Take 2. She's an ex-Mormon, ex-MAGA girl. And she's got quite the stack of information. She's puts out a lot of content on YouTube. So I recommend Live Take 2. So there's 32, not 6 or 7. All right. Had they not been just using the YouTube site, had they actually gone to the web page, they could have actually learned this information that I just shared with you. All right, let's see. I need to close those 2 tabs real quick because things are stacking up. All right, let's get back to Drunk Pinata and his sidekick, Mr. Denham.
And it all looks like you paid them $20 to say it.
Well,
it doesn't really.
I gave my testimonial for free. All I had to do was let Rich know my exit date, July 31st, 2023. And he offered me the opportunity to come and give a testimonial. And my interview was done by a former editor for NPR with over 4 decades of experience who came out of retirement to help this organization. No, we do this for free.
In just a few seconds, you might actually see this might be the 7 people that you paid that are part of their own organization, supposedly. I mean, and they say nonprofit, but really, they're making money off this thing. And really, who's it for? And by the end of this thing, the only thing I could think of is that the only reason why they even have to do this is similar to what you found when you were going through and trying to find those clips last year. Was that they had to be manufactured. They had to take something out of context. They had to only show part of it. They had to edit out the part where,
like you're doing. Oh my goodness, dude, your lack of self-awareness it's what frustrated me before, and it frustrates me even more now.
Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. It was actually just a joke. I actually still have my MAGA hat or whatever was going on with it, and they always just have to manufacture this. And so the only conclusion I can come to is that they're still as of 1 year of us going over this, seeing this topic now reemerge, because they're trying to re-push this out ahead of the midterms here in 2026, that they still don't have that kind of public outcry or public denouncement.
We've got billboards going up all across the country. All across the country. We are here for people who are doubting the things that they're hearing or seeing in MAGA. We are providing them an exit point. I mean, if you want to extrapolate this to, or parallel this to some other organizations out there, you could look at the organizations that are set up for people who are leaving Scientology. All right, it's basically the same thing. It's an exit point to where former members and families members of current members of MAGA can go and support each other and help each other in their process of recovery. Okay, great. None of this is manufactured. This is all organic because, Trump is a monster and he surrounds himself with monsters, but narcissistic people tend to support narcissistic people.
That they kind of are searching for, in order for them to kind of give happy feelings to the left. It's almost they're trying to give them positive reinforcement for keep doing what you're doing, keep this hate up, whatever they're doing, keep we're winning hearts and minds. It's almost like they need like this cheerleading.
Whenever I post this video over on Pilled, I will be tagging Drunk Pinata. I will give him the opportunity to talk to me. I will give him an opportunity to address me. That is, if he hasn't blocked me. There's a lot of people over there who blocked me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, to keep their, I guess, their sick voter base going, they have to give them, like, some light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though...
No, maybe some of us just figured out, like, for me, my exit point was when Trump came out and said that he wanted to sweep up homeless people off the city streets and send them to camps out in the national forest under the supervision of doctors. Cats and kittens, I have seen that script before. I know what happens. I only had one pinky toe left on the train at that point. I was gone. I've been fighting it ever since. I do this for free.
You'll see a lot of liberals right now, and I refer to everybody on the left as liberals, right? Some people will say to me, oh, they're leftists, or they're not liberals. Oh, they're Democrats, not liberals. No, anybody that has the mindset that tilts over to the left, you're all fucked up. You're all liberals to me. It's really, really rare that you bump into somebody that actually has some common sense on that side, and they need to have this light at the end of the tunnel to feel like there's something there, and they get overconfident.
Yeah. Seriously, you're saying that we need a light at the end of the tunnel, that we need encouragement. Guys, I left your cave a long time ago. You are the ones that are constantly absorbing and gobbling up the opium. Anyway, it's just frustrating.
I think in the back of their mind that they know their party sucks, that they're done. And to be honest with you, being on the...
Okay, yeah, I'll agree. The corporate Dems are done. That's why the Democrat Socialists of America are doing so well in the polls right now. I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
The right side of things, I'm not super confident in the Republican Party at all right now. I think Trump has screwed up a few things. And I'm not talking about Iran and people want to go in that direction. What he's needed to focus on for a damn long time right now is the kitchen table politics. Yeah. And he's ignored it for way too long. Yeah. People need more money in their pocket or they're not going to vote for you. And time's running out. So I hate to say it, but there's a chance that we might lose like the House or the Senate. Mm-hmm. If they lose either one of those two, the rest of his presidency's down to twos.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you're gonna lose both, buddy. And I am going to make sure I have a good stock of popcorn on hand. I'm just saying, because this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, I have to say that there's a scenario that's worse than... So there's different scenarios that are worse than others. I think as long as they can maintain the Senate, you're pretty much going to have the same result. You still already have a feckless House and Senate that doesn't really want to enact a lot of what he wants to do anyway. At least, So, but on the other side of that,
well, maybe because some of them have actually decided to listen to their constituents and back off on some of their support for some of the things that Trump is wanting to do. maybe some of these cats would like to keep their jobs. And so they decided they needed to listen to their voters on at least something. AI data centers could be one point, Epstein files another, the Iran war yet another, the genocide in Gaza, the cooperation with Netanyahu, the Hormuz Strait. I mean, gas prices, food prices, the tariffs. Who pays tariffs? Anyway.
Might have to. So it depends on how much they were able to get through. Because a lot of, I think the way some of this works is that they have, they get a lot passed through House and Senate, or some through House while they have it, and then it kind of sits up and piles up on both sides. So if the Senate does something, it piles up on the House side, and it won't go through unless the House goes through with it, and then that might not happen if they, if they don't have the majority. Then the same thing for the Senate. So, but really what we're mostly concerned with, in my mind, is just having to deal with 2 years of impeachment of, bullshit like that. And so they're already going to be doing their stupid investigations. They're already going to be doing that. So
They're stupid investigations because they're holding your boy accountable. And yet your side is wanting to do military tribunals of Democrat power players with executions. I mean, come on now.
They can do that, but we'll have to see how things play out. But you're absolutely right. I feel like there's a couple things that they seem to lack coherent and good messaging on, and a lot of these topics that they kind of have brushed off. They say, "Oh, this is Democrat hoax. This is the word affordability is a Democrat." No, it's not. Affordability was the sentiment that got you elected, and that appears to be what you're. And I think that there's.
Okay, we can agree on that. We can agree on that. Affordability. We can agree on the fact that affordability matters.
There's a little bit of truth to Trump himself maybe being a little bit out of touch with that kind of thing. Just because.
You think just a little bit? You think he could be a little bit out of touch with affordability? A little bit. Open your eyes a little wider, please.
From his cushy life. That's the way it is. But I hope that he has enough people around him that can kind of say that this needs to happen. And I think he may feel that urgency, but I'm just not sure.
The economy's not the hottest economy on the planet anymore, and everything like he's trying to pull off. Like he speaks to the people that voted for him as if they are dumb. We have the hottest economy. Everybody wants to be us. And what I'm so sick of is Iran's begging me to make a deal. Like, okay, I'm sure they are at this point.
Oh man, he almost had that brass ring, didn't he? Almost, just missed it by a hair.
And then he's talking about how they just brought in millions and millions of barrels of oil. Okay, then how come your gas hasn't dropped significantly more then?
And where did those millions and millions of barrels of oil come from? Venezuela, maybe? Diverted ships from the Hormuz Strait? I got questions I don't have answers to.
How come gas? It's not still up there, but it's definitely better than Canada, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. But gas should be down way low if you have all sorts of it. There's just, I don't know, he tries to make everybody feel like everything's amazing. I made America great again already. Now I just want to concentrate on foreign policy. And sorry, you haven't made it.
All right, well, if your concentration on foreign policy is bombing the hell out of schools and hospitals, I think you need to rethink your foreign policy.
Great again. I think he can. I think he's eventually going to get cornered, and he's going to have to. And if he doesn't get his ass in gear before November, one of the two are going to go, the House or the Senate. The only thing that we have in I guess, the light at the end of our tunnel is how absolutely insane these people are that are the opposition. Like,
okay, so he just admitted he's also has a light at the end of his tunnel, but he's scared. Can you hear how scared he is of losing the Senate or the House? Much less both. That's why he hopes that Trump will do something more radical than he's already doing. Good grief.
They're pressing the gas even more on the shit that lost Kamala the election. Mm-hmm. And they're doubling down. Like, they're really going with the
If Kamala had said more about the genocide happening in Gaza, she probably would have gotten more votes.
Shit sticks to the wall theory. And I don't know, it creeps me out. If they get the House or the Senate back, it's not going to be it's not going to be a fun ride for the rest. It really isn't.
So everything,
Well, it might not be fun for your side, but like I said, I'm going to be stocking up on popcorn.
Great points. I mean, I think we're in agreement a lot with it, that we would like to have it be better, and that the messaging seems to be disjointed between what he's saying and how most people are feeling, especially the people that are politically aloof, the people that don't really, the people that all they're doing is going to work, they're going to the grocery store, and they're filling up their tanks.
I feel that same frustration with individuals who are politically aloof that just go through their day living their routine. I don't care which side of the political fence they're on. It's the lack of engagement leads to a lack of consistency in voter engagement. And that's part of how we got into this mess. If more Democrats had turned out, I mean, like only half of the registered voters, Democrat voters turned out. And like 80% or something like that, 70, 80% of the Republicans turned out. If more Democrats had turned out, Kamala would have won and we wouldn't be in this mess. I wish there was more consistent voter engagement.
Those are the people that you have to reach by results, not by messaging, and I understand that. Okay, so then going back to the weave here, getting back to this video here,
getting back to the weave here. Yeah, he speaks Trump.
I bring those points up to bring up, who is this for? It seems as though they have the demoralization of their own party itself. So the Democrat Party, they don't like it. There's countless videos on TikTok of them saying the Democrats, the establishment, the leaders, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, all the...
Yeah, the AIPAC Democrats, the corporate Democrats, those are the ones that we have issues with. Now, I'm an unspecified voter, but I like what some of these Democrat Socialists of America are doing. Zoran Mamdani, cool dude. I love what he's doing.
The names, they bring up the names specifically, they say these people, and then they'll go, well, but Mandami, and what these other people.
Yeah, exactly. There is a bifurcation within the Democrat Party, just like there's a bifurcation within the Republican Party. If you'll remember, back during the 2024 campaign, there were Republicans against Trump, or Republicans for it was Republicans for Kamala, Republicans for Harris. We're talking people who were not willing to change their party registration on their card, on their voter registration, but were willing to still take a stand for somebody that they felt had a better moral political stance than Donald Trump. They're like, we want to be Republicans, but we don't want him. Come on now, people.
But they were willing to support Graham Platner as far as they did, which is kind of ridiculous.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk Graham Platner. Let's do that real quick. Looking over here at Politico again. All the links are down below. Graham Platner officially withdraws from Maine state or Senate race. Why? Why did he withdraw? Because of the accusations that were brought against him. Exclusive. Again, from Politico. You can see this. Exclusive. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. So Graham's like, I'm out. That takes brass, in my opinion. But what do I know? I grew up in a cult.
But so I guess since you mostly know about this group, in our group here mostly knows about this. I just want to show you one little thing about what this lady said that really gave me pause about just how.
Wait for it.
Fake this group is.
46 prior to the PBS documentary, and I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been?
It's so hard for people because I said it's not that you're dumb, you were fooled. That's incredibly hard to admit.
We are in the United States of algorithms right now, and MAGA media is very efficacious, it's very effective, and it's very disciplined.
Stefania became disillusioned when MAGA beliefs clashed with her understanding of medical science.
When I really began to wake up was during COVID. Because as a trained respiratory therapist with 5 children, the mixed messaging was something that finally broke through the cognitive dissonance, because I was hearing, wear masks. No, don't. They don't stop respiratory viruses, when I very much knew that they did.
She's a respiratory therapist, and she's like, oh, well, I knew that the masks work. Did you?
You remember what Rich said about COVID deniers? There you go.
Respiratory therapist.
They work so well.
Anyway.
Unbelievable. That stupid look on her face, 3 hour pause right now, too.
All right, this next bit, I just had to leave it in because it's dealing with the Graham Platner thing. But I want you to see how they handle this whole situation. This next video that Drunk Pinata brings in, which I think is a rather odd handle for a guy who appears to be pretty obviously white.
Okay, let's get over to. I brought up the Graham Platner thing, and this kind of ties back into our conversation. Did you see any of the clips of the?
I mean, think about it. Does he like to imbibe alcohol and then get beat up? I'm curious how he came up with this handle. I'd love to hear the backstory on it.
People that found Graham Platner.
No.
The people that found Graham Platner. Oh, you have to see this.
What do you mean, like discovered him and?
Yeah, so they're like a.
At this point, we need to inject the observational lens of Trump's central casting narrative.
Like a talent agency, they were somehow tasked. So you have to put yourself in. You have to thinking that, okay, the Democrats said, or essentially they on their own, so through some sort of affiliate or whatever, they said we're going to make this person our candidate for, and then get him to the primary, and then if we can get him to the primary, the Democrat Party is going to have to deal with us. So I say it may not have been the Democrat Party per se that did this, but they were tasked with this Democrat Socialists of America to try to go in and find these progressive candidates. And so here's them trying to talk about the vetting.
Yeah, it's called talent scouting.
And to me, when I think about, okay, so they did shitty vetting, obviously, and so
now I'll agree with that.
Here he is being kind of confronted about that, but then this is the people that are finding the people that they're running, and it just kind of explains everything when you think when I show you this. So here you go.
At this point, you hadn't vetted Graham Platner. You hadn't done a full scrub of who he is. How did you go about vetting him? And why did you?
We paid a nice firm a whole chunk of money and got some stuff back. Some of what you've seen on the news we got back. Other stuff we didn't.
Did the vetting process turn up the tattoo that became so controversial?
No.
Okay, so at this point, I just want to say it's it's definitely important to understand who you're hiring when you're doing oppositional research. Oppositional research is required to be done on somebody that you're wanting to support. You want to know what the dirt is on them. So they didn't get a full report back, which means I don't know how much money they paid, but it would seem to me that they could have done better. They could have. See, this is why things are so complicated.
The Reddit posts, did that turn up in the vetting process?
The firm sent us a thing, and it had some of the posts, but it didn't have all of them.
More proof that it was a horrible research group.
And what did you think about that? How did you think your way through the fact that he had posted these things on social media?
Okay, Drunk Pinata, in response to your little snide think and chuckle, is it possible that this organization that was hired to do the oppositional research was a more right-leaning organization that these people hadn't thoroughly vetted well enough? And that's why only part of the information was returned and some of it was withheld, so that could be used as dirt to blindside somebody with? Please think about that.
I said none of this will or should stop him from becoming a U.S. Senator.
And what was your thinking there?
It gets worse.
I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never done or said anything that they might regret their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our thesis here is that
it actually gets worse.
People do not want their candidates grown in vats. They want people who are real human beings.
Are you a real human being? I have my doubts. I have my doubts.
And they want people who do not look and sound like the background people who've been leading this country off a cliff for the last century. And that was Graham.
Just days.
I could not sit there and have a conversation with this guy. He's all the way up here.
I mean, you have vocal fry and upspeak.
So they're denigrating his speaking patterns. They're trying to discredit him because of his vocal qualities. That's lowbrow.
That's
yeah, right. Like, and just basically, you've seen his shady background. Like, yeah, this is our guy.
Yeah, let's see if this will work. I don't know if it'll work on it. Might work on your end. Let's see.
Beta.
There we go. Can you hear that? Can you hear Jesse Lee Peterson on your end?
Beta.
No, you can't hear
it. Jesse Lee Peterson. Yeah, I got something on that. Here we go. Coming from the Urban Daily, far-right anti-gay pastor Jesse Lee Peterson allegedly had same-sex relationships. There's a mountain of evidence out there for you, folks. If you just really want to go dig it up, don't bother. It's not worth your time. Just understand this is part of the bigger pattern. All right, so let's get back to this video.
Okay. All right, they can hear it though.
How do you find this stuff? Like,
well, this one just went, this one in particular went viral. This made it all the way to Gutfeld, to some of these other places. Like everyone,
of course you got it from Gutfeld
because of the voice. Everyone saw that and they're like, "Holy shit! These are the people that found Graham Platner." Like, it's God, like it's. I mean, how many steps backwards? Okay, so that was that one. Let's see, we had.
They're just good grief! It's just ridiculous.
Did this? Did that? Did this?
Oh, yeah. This next segment, I'm going to grab a clip out of this next segment. You'll have already seen it at the beginning of the video, but let's get into this.
Did you see the story about in D.C. with the lady on the train surrounded by Patriot Front?
Oh, wait a minute. I jumped ahead of myself by a story. Yeah, I got some stuff lined up for this too. Of course I do.
Yes, oh God, Rosa Parks version number 2 is how they're trying to make it now.
And did you?
Oh yeah, this is okay. No, I was right the first time. I'm sorry. I tried to do this video a couple of days ago and made a really rookie mistake, and that's why I didn't get the video out last Thursday. So it's been a couple of days since I've actually listened through this.
Did you see?
Isn't it convenient that there was somebody there to take that picture?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Patriot Front themselves, considering the type of group that they are.
Okay, so he's going to disavow Patriot Front. I just posted a video earlier today on Eric Metaxas saying that they don't need to call out Patriot Front. So there's a disjointed messaging all through MAGA.
Not one of them were even looking at her, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was all like the back of their heads. And
well, the thing about her in particular, and look, she apparently may have some sort of some mental issues or something. Apparently,
boy, that's mighty rich.
Yeah, she was someone who's like a kind of, I don't know if it's a vagrant on the subway, but someone who definitely is not doing nice things on the DC subway with exposing herself and other things like that. So it's
I never heard any reports about the young lady caught on the train with all these Patriot Front guys exposing herself. I don't believe that happened. It was never mentioned anywhere else.
I thought that was kind of interesting that they're propping this person up. And look, she's nothing wrong with the person. Look, people go through their own stuff, and that's not the point of this. Is that they're trying to elevate this.
That's not the point of this. Excuse me? Oh, good grief.
As if it's like they know a whole story based on a picture. Mm-hmm. that they can.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm chomping at the bit here. I got to address this. So this is Reuters, and they got a whole bunch of pictures over here from the Patriot Front thing in D.C. And let's just go ahead and put this picture in frame for you. All right. Now let's go back. Let's go back over here. Oh, hang on. Let me turn that back off. Showing through over there.
Convey this, and that for propaganda, they can say everything from an image when there's so much more behind it. Like the fact that the Patriot Front group used to be Vanguard America.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's take another look at that picture. Because you could tell a lot from that image. There's a whole lot going on right there. That young lady does not look comfortable at all. And I don't blame her for feeling uncomfortable.
had some Ukrainian ties. It had some Soros-backed kind of money behind it. There was.
Of course, you would think that it has Soros-backed money behind it. Behind the Patriot Front. Just, oh my goodness. Because I remember calling out the Patriot Front a few years ago as feds. And then, yeah, hang on a second. Let me go ahead and address this over here. ICE is copying the Patriot Front now. This is a Reddit post. All this stuff is linked in the description. But let's get a closer look at that picture. Look, there's Patriot Front jumping out, and then here's the Penske truck, and then we've got these ICE guys here. I mean, oh, good grief. Let's get back to Drunk Pinata.
There's other people that have done research with this group in its current form that shows that it's some rich leftists that are funding part of what they do. So
okay, so that's allegedly in reference to that is in reference to the SPLC paying informants to stay inside these groups and feed the SPLC SLPC. Southern Law Poverty Center, information so that they can continue building cases on these anti-Semites, these neo-Nazis, these fascists, these thugs. Just saying.
So that it has this appearance of, look how prevalent this is, when it's really just the same 30 people every time, just going around the country, and then of course they do it at a very specific time to poison the well. So that means, well, you can't espouse Christianity because, well, these people are white Christian nationalists. So therefore, if you're any.
No. I'm going to debate you on that too, Drunk Pinata, because I know a lot of good Christians that are not Republican, that are not MAGA, and they are, like I am, offended with how your group has corrupted and obfuscated the brand of Christianity for your own purposes. Anyway, there's reasons why I'm an agnostic that works with progressive Christians.
If you hit any one of those categories, then somehow anything it's poisoning the well. It's guilt by association by this group doing it, and that's the entire purpose of that group. There is no other purpose of that group. What else have they even said that they're even trying to do, other than they go out and they say that we're white Christian nationalists? And they don't even necessarily say that, but that's what the media says. And so if that's
Josh Hawley admitted to being a Christian nationalist. Oh, good grief.
The only thing that's being used from this, then that seems to be what its purpose is, because they seem to not want to correct any of that or try to say, no, this is not the only thing we're doing. Like, they don't have any other messaging other than to go out and let the media fill in the gap.
Yes, that's exactly.
Excuse me? Go check out Live Take 2, or go check out my channel. Or I could point to some other ex-evangelicals that aren't part of Leaving MAGA. How about Tim Whitaker, or April LaJoy, or Monty Matter? How about Deconstructing with Heidi? Or, good grief, there's so many. I can't even think of them all.
What they do. And then they jump back into the U-Haul truck. This time they couldn't even afford the U-Haul. They had to take the subway.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of U-Hauls, how about that Jake Lang urban surfing on top of that U-Haul here a while back? Stirring up nonsense, trying to set a gay pride flag on fire while he's urban surfing on top of that U-Haul. If I remember right, he kind of burned himself a little bit, didn't he? Kind of thought he deserved it, but I'm not gloating.
So here you go. I don't know if you've seen this clip. This is I'm really shocked that they fired Joy Reid from MSNBC.
Thank you very much. And I'll tell y'all, when we go back and look in history, that photo, but also the photo of Representative Al.
Okay, so yeah, Joy's getting ready to bring some heavy, hard facts here, but it's how these guys handle it that I'm addressing it. That's why I left this segment in.
Green holding up his cane and shaking it at that Congress. Those are going to go into history because the 2020s are the rebirth of the 1920s. It just is a fact. And remember, in the 1920s, those very same Klan who were marching mask on or mask off with their hoods on through the Capitol are the very same kinds of people who claimed that black men were rapists, but then would grab black men, women, and children and lynch them in front of children. They would.
Now, it's going to escalate and you think it's going to be the top of the roller coaster here. It's going to click and clack, and just watch how far she goes with this.
Yeah, watch how far she takes this, and the fact that it's a whole lot in a short amount of time, and we're going to talk more about that here in a moment.
Oh, for sure, Joy Reid.
To bring their children to lynchings. It was the most violent era in this country's history. These people murdered more than 4,000 black men, women, and even pregnant women and children, forcing black boys to jump off of a bridge into ice cold water and drown, shooting, killing, burning alive. Every manner of horror were meted out by the very people who now claim that black people are inherently violent.
And that we should basically just, be happy and that,
Or leave.
Yeah.
I mean, these people, their core claim is that they can't live with black people because black people are inherently violent and inherently criminal, but they come from a tradition that is a tradition of skinning people alive and using the skin as leather to make furniture, of consuming the bodies of black enslaved people in post-slavery, of throwing little black babies, boys and girls, into the river in order to draw out alligators, and then calling it gator bait, and then putting the murder on postcards. These are people who, again, on a Sunday would go to church, and then on Sunday evening go and lynch a child or a woman or a man, and then shoot the body full of holes, and then the pieces of the body that fell on the ground, they would take them home as souvenirs. This is the most violent culture. It is the right. It is conservatism. It is right-wingery. These people have always been the single most violent people in the country, and I would say in the world. These people are inherently, excruciatingly, extravagantly violent. And even when they're not doing violence, their thoughts are violent. They want to violently deport people who've been in the country for 25, 30.
I mean, so she just went on that. And here's the thing. Are some of those things real? Turns out, yeah. I've actually looked into some of these things. Some of those things
Congratulations on going and actually doing some research, Drunk Pinata, and acknowledging that some of the things that she said was real. Everything she said was real.
Absolutely are real. But she's taking about 300 years of strings of isolated incidents and saying that this is who were, I guess, Republicans in the 1920s. They're saying...
Okay, so hang on.
And that's the same people. That's the same, we're doing the same exact thing, and that's just simply not true.
Okay, so first off, she was not referring to a 300-year time period. She was referring to a decade, right around that decade. Now, she is calling out the Klan, who at that time were still Democrats. Well, let me explain. Because the parties flipped. But when did the parties flip? Well, I'm going to show you this right here. The 1956 Republican platform. Republican Dwight David Eisenhower, General Dwight David Eisenhower. So, what was his platform? Federal assistance to low-income communities, extension of Social Security, asylum for thousands of refugees, expellees, and displaced persons, extending minimum wage protections, quote, to as many more workers as is possible and practicable, end quote. Improving the unemployment benefit system, protection of the right of workers to organize into unions and to bargain collectively, and assure equal pay for equal work regardless of sex. That sounds to me like a modern Democrat platform, or what it should be, what I think it should be, what it recently has been, what the Democrat socialists are bringing. What people like Kamala wanted to bring. Anyway, let's get back to these dingbats.
And then at the end of it, out of all that, she's like, well, this is the same thing as deporting people. No, it's not.
Okay. It's still terrorism, and it's still intimidation. And, well, here, let me punch a couple of more holes in your story. How about this collection of flags? We got a Texas flag, we got a Confederate flag, and we got Trump 2020, keep America great. Or how about this campaign sticker that was out? Confederate flag with the Trump 2020 thing. All right. You are going to tell me that there's a difference between the Confederate flag waving Klansmen of the 1920s and the Confederate flag waving Klansmen of sorts, the modern Klan, that are the Trump supporters of the 2020s. We're pulling examples from a century apart and comparing them. It was during the civil rights era that the parties flipped position. All right, so I still got about a minute left on this, and then I got some extras for you.
So I just find it odd, or I find it why would you have to go to such extremes in your depiction of actual, some it's depravity. That is something that's not, no one condones that at all. But then say, well, that's the same thing as deportation. That's ridiculous. Why would you have to compare it to something so extreme?
Well, you see, you just said, like, I don't understand why MSNBC, or MS Now as they call themselves now, fired Joy Reid. This is exactly why they did, because this is all she would do on her show. Mm-hmm. She's all about, like, without directly saying it, completely anti-white. She has the mentality.
No, Joy Reid is not anti-white. This is why I think that the term or the phrase critical race theory is a bad phrase. It's a critical look at American history, parts of American history that people don't want to admit to, especially these guys. In 1976, the federal government released a report that they had sterilized without consent 3,600 Native American women who had gone in for some other surgery, had no children. They were purebloods, and they never got a chance to have children. That was taken from them. Anyway.
Mentality of black people can't be racist because we've been oppressed for so long and we've dealt with so much bullshit. So whatever racism we throw at you now is well deserved, and we're not being racist. It's just a little bit of payback. And this is what she started to build her show on. And everything is the white man's fault, and black people are always innocent. Mm-hmm. Now, I bring up these type of topics on my show quite a bit when it comes to, like, when I see black people acting out, and I don't just mean by, like, running into a buffet and tearing it apart. It's when they have this entitled attitude, and they don't know their history. And I can't sit there and teach them black history. I don't know.
Hang on. This is the part that I'm going to clip.
It's because we've been oppressed for so long and we've dealt with so much bullshit. So whatever racism we throw at you now is well deserved, and we're not being racist. It's just a little bit of payback. And this is what she started to build her show on. And everything is the white man's fault, and black people are always innocent. Mm-hmm. Now, I bring up these type of topics on my show quite a bit when it comes to, like, when I see black people acting out, and I don't just mean by, like, running into a buffet and tearing it apart. It's when they have this entitled attitude, and they don't know their history. And I can't sit there and teach them black history. I don't know black history, but I do.
Okay, so you're saying that they don't know their history, but you don't know their history either, so you're going to still call them out for it. Mr. Denham, you lack self-awareness.
You know how to use a keyboard and look at multiple sources to see if, like, what they're saying is true or not. And these people are so deluded, and they have such a victim mentality. And it's people like Joy Reid that affirm it and make these people feel that Carmelo Anthony was the victim, and that white people are, committing atrocities towards the black community once again. But we all know if the skin color was reversed in that same situation, and if the white kid was being bullied, no matter what, he was the one in the wrong. It's complete victimhood. It makes me happy when I see a black person with common sense, especially when I bump into a Democrat black person with common sense, mm-hmm. and they call out this type of bullshit.
All right. Let's go back over this, because this is what I meant to share before showing those Confederate flag pictures. Trump declares U.S. in culture wars, calls flying Confederate flag freedom of speech. So there's that. I want to address Professor Toto here real quick.
We would never be this defensive of Donald Trump if you would not have forced us into this cult mentality. Yeah, we would now fight for Donald Trump. Why? We believe in justice. And when we see a man that God's put his hand on being attacked night and day, you are forcing us to look like a cult. We're patient and steadfast in our support of a single man. We are cult followers. Yes, we follow a man. Yes, we do. We drank the Kool-Aid and it's orange.
We forced you to act like a cult. Okay, Professor Toto. Shane Vaughn, Trump preacher. All right, so hang on. I don't know what's my computer's acting weird. All right, so this one is just from 3 days ago, Mr. Shane Vaughn. I've been waiting for an opportunity to use this one. And as usual, I leave these cards in place because
get behind your quarterback and shut your mouth about what you don't agree with. Do you agree the ball has been moved in the right direction? Then be a team player. Help us keep moving the ball. And the only way you can help move the ball is if you support the man that's moving it, the quarterback.
Wait for it.
That's all I have to say tonight. Thank God for Donald John Trump. Thank God for the Republican Party. Thank God for those that are not selfish enough to think for themselves. They support the party, the man, and the plan.
Thank God for those who don't think for themselves, because oh, good grief. Anyway, apparently it's now selfish to think for yourself. All right. I have a confessional that I need to play here real quick. All right. Got all this cleaned up. I want to point out here that although this is dated July 16th, I'm realizing that I made a mistake because in one of the articles, whenever I was scrubbing through this video trying to find a good clip, I noted that I was using an article from July 17th. Now, it is possible that I started this stream on Saturday night, July 16th, that the article dropped after midnight, and it would have been July 17th. It's also possible that the article dated July 17th had been posted on Coordinated Universal Time, which means it would have been at least 6 hours ahead of me. So let's get into this bit of a confession so that you can see where I was 4 years ago. But yeah, they're eating their own. One more. Also coming from InfoWars. Coming from InfoWars. Yeah, I'm telling on myself. I've been getting a lot of my news today has been coming from InfoWars and Gateway Pundit. Just because of the fact they've been pumping out a lot today. Yeah, they were pumping out a lot of propaganda. I haven't even gotten back to it since I got on the stream, really. Anyway, Biden threatened ex-Ukraine President Poroshenko with assassination if he cooperated with Trump. Leaked audio reveals. Let's see if we... I doubt that ever actually happened, even if I ran with it back then. We got the audio down here. Leaked audio from days after the 2016 election, before Trump's inauguration. Biden calls Poroshenko, then head of state of Ukraine, and threatens him with assassination if he cooperates with incoming Trump administration. Election denialism. Yeah, I was on that. I think I saw something mentioned about this a few days ago. And, well, this actually dropped yesterday. And I just didn't follow up on it simply because of the fact that there's just been so much going on. Yeah, there was a lot of propaganda going on back then. There's still a lot of propaganda going on now, but there's a lot of actual resulting actions that are happening because of the propaganda today. Anyway, let's hit this.
Overdrive to clean up loose ends. November 16, 2016, 2 weeks after Donald Trump's victory, Joe Biden is on the...
Hang on, I'm going to have to boost that even more. Notice that I'm using One America News as my resource. They're one of the propaganda outlets that was set up right around the same time that Right Side Broadcasting was set up, and Real America News, and there was a couple of others. Seriously. Yeah. Adjusting volume on the fly on a live stream on OBS can be fun. All right, let me back that up and try it again. It's really difficult for me when people record videos off the television with their cell phones. And yeah, that's still a problem.
Overdrive to clean up loose ends. November 16, 2016, 2 weeks after Donald Trump's victory, Joe Biden is on the phone with Poroshenko. His voice tenser now than before.
This is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a politics where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the details.
In other words, Biden does not want Ukraine asking for more money from Trump. Doing so would cause Trump to look into the details.
So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your.
Man, that was some rich stuff there. I'm gonna mute this, and I'm just trying to establish my credentials as having been a member of MAGA as well as being a member of Leaving MAGA. This is my intent here. But I'm muting that because I want to let this play. That's Marching Pepe down there in the corner. That's Infantry Pepe. That was gifted to me after I proved my worth prior to my attempted recruitment into Kekistan. You can see Eric Greitens' rhino hunting permit over here. Republican in name only. Yeah, let's. I'm glad I muted that. Yeah, I was all into Tom McDonald back then. Good grief, that boy's cringe is all get out. All right, so here, I've got some extras for you here, and I'm just gonna play through these 5 videos. This one is about 17 minutes long. So if you haven't seen it, a link is down below. But if you haven't seen this yet, please go ahead and watch it.
And I left MAGA.
Hey, everybody. Rich coming to here at Leaving MAGA at leavingmaga.org for the Midas Touch Network. So good to be back with all of you. We have been on the road recently, and I am happy to report that Leaving MAGA has never been busier. We have a brand new Leaving MAGA testimonial today. I want to bring him in. We are joined right now by Jerry Koch from the state of Missouri. So, Jerry, let me first thank you for being with us today. Appreciate you being here and being willing to tell your story. Let's just
Rich, I appreciate you. I appreciate you having this platform available for us.
No, it's my pleasure. Let's just get right into everything, Jerry, here.
Certainly.
And if you could take us through just a little bit of your background and what attracted you about the MAGA movement.
I was raised as a charismatic evangelical and in a Republican family. So it was just a natural progression to go from being a Reagan supporting active duty airman right on into the MAGA movement. It was just a natural progression because of how I was taught as a child.
So can you talk a little bit about what I see as this inextricable link between evangelicism and MAGA? We have lots of testimonials at our website at leavingmaga.org, and there are several who left MAGA who were and still are devout Christians, but but they went through a crisis of faith, which led them to eventually leaving MAGA. Can you talk a little bit about what you see as that link between evangelicism and MAGA?
For me, what I see that, in the short answer, is that charismatic evangelicalism is inherently an authoritarian doctrine system. So you always believe what your preacher says, or you believe those that your preacher might support or promote. And my cat, go on, Smokey. But yeah, when folks are looking at the idea that if I question something, then I could lose my grace from God and end up in hell, it makes it easy to just be indoctrinated into an authoritarian system like MAGA.
What do you think about these comments that I see a lot online where, people will talk about how to reconcile between the Trump administration's actions and the lack of what I was raised to believe in Christian values. I was a Catholic growing up. I joke that I'm an excommunicated Catholic, but I remain a believer. But how do you think it can be reconciled where we look at the actions and the rhetoric of the Trump administration, and then people who are devout Christians who support this? What is happening there?
I think what needs to be understood is early in the 20th century, there was a bifurcation in American Christianity where one went more towards a social Christianity, which is like what we see in the progressive Christian churches now, and then a more authoritarian version of Christianity, which is where we derived this whole authoritarian system from that we have now. There's a lot of history that goes behind it. It really ramped up. Like the Assembly of God Church is where I grew up, and they were founded in 1914. And one of the founders of the Assembly of God Church was like number 2 or number 3 in command when the 1915 Ku Klux Klan was formed. And then we get into the post-World War II tent revivals with William Branham, which gets us to the folks like Oral Roberts and Ken Copeland. And I think it's difficult for a lot of folks to really decipher the duality of the messaging, because I've actually heard Ken Copeland say that God is the biggest loser in the Bible. And yet God is promoted as this all-powerful creature being. So it's the duality of the messaging, the constant duality of the messaging. It keeps people off balance, and it makes it difficult for them to employ rational thinking, especially if they get attacked just for asking a question.
So take us through, thank you for that. So Jerry, take us through what life was like for you in MAGA while you were an active. Is it fair to say that you were like me, you were a true believer, you were an activist within MAGA? What was life like for you?
During the first Trump administration, it was pretty laid back. I didn't become really activated until after the 2020 election. And I had bought in completely on the stolen election theory. And that ended up leading me into becoming a congressional watchdog and eventually a live streamer. That ended up costing me a relationship in the end of that. But I was in so deep that I was running 10-hour live streams 3 times a week, and then moderating for a compatriot for his 10-hour streams 3 times a week. So after COVID is really when things got wild for me. That's when I got into live streaming, was during COVID. Yeah, I was a true believer. But I started seeing things that they didn't ring true for me based upon what I knew from Christianity and then my walk through the pagan world for a while. I mean, I came back and I see this video of Paula White doing this chant, calling angels from Africa and South America. And I'm like, man, that's some pagan stuff right there. What's going on? And that question right there ended up causing me to invest about 10,000 hours in the next 3 years in my deconstruction, which deconstructing my faith meant I had to also deconstruct my politics because where I grew up, they were the same thing. It was a challenge, but it was worth the work.
There's so much radicalization that occurs online. And I'm curious if you could go a little bit more into depth and detail on what live streaming was like for you, what you did online, what you saw online, how much of it was MAGA, how much was MAGA adjacent. I'm curious about what it is that you saw so often online, and if you feel like it also influenced and maybe radicalized you when you were so consistently doing live streaming.
Oh, it definitely influenced me. And I'm glad that you asked that question because I've reactivated my YouTube channel, and currently I've already dropped 2 videos. There's 3 more that are going to drop today when we're recording this video. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm doing a numbered series of videos explaining the historical facts that are going towards the book that I'm going to write about this whole experience. All of it, the history leading up to how I got caught up in all of it, and not just me. But to further answer that question, I'm going to be making other videos talking about the things that I saw, some of the conversations that I was involved in and setting on MAGA panels. Like a current event story that's going on is at the Ark Encounter, there's a measles outbreak, but it's because there's a lot of anti-vaxxers in that community. That said, I have sat on MAGA panels where we have debated with young earth creationists and flat earthers and globe earthers, all sitting on the same panel and finding out that young earth creationists and flat earthers actually have more in common than a lot of people would realize. So I've got a lot to talk about out there on the things that I saw. Wild, just it was a lot of wild hyperbolic conspiracy theories that I ended up untangling, like Atlantis and Anunnaki, things like that. When a collective believes verifiable falsehoods as hard fact under the guise of they're hiding the truth from us, it makes it really difficult to penetrate that wall.
Yeah, you know, we had we did a video with a lady named Erica Roach who was in QAnon, and she expressed a similar sentiment, which is this: when she was in QAnon, there was always this feeling that the group and the community was privy to insider information that no one else had.
Right. I was never QAnon, but I was definitely Q adjacent until I saw things that were being predicted that weren't coming true. Because growing up as a child, I learned in church, if somebody makes a prediction and it doesn't come true, then the prophecy is not from God. Mention Julie Green. She has over 220 missed prophecies, and she's a Trump prophet. So there's my case in point. And yet she still has people following her. It's crazy.
So talk a little bit about why you feel the need to speak out about all of this.
I'm seeing a lot of former MAGA talking about their experiences, and I'm like, yeah, but there's so much more to the story than this because of the fact that I was so deep. we've chit-chatted a little bit, and you hadn't heard about Kekistan until I showed up. But I had somebody that tried to recruit me into this digital environment that is as far right as you can get. I mean, it has self-avowed nationalist socialists running around. Those of you who don't know what a nationalist socialist is, that's the long form of the word Nazi. So yeah, that experience was one of those things that really got me to looking at the community. And so there's a lot of things that people that have left MAGA aren't talking about that I know exist. And so I'm going to be bringing that to light, including doing videos talking about the different media outlets that I used in promotion of these stories. 100% Fed Up, National File, Gateway Pundit, Fox News, and more. But yeah, I was fully consumed.
Yeah, I consumed that media that you just mentioned, Fox's Gateway Pundits. I wrote for a lot of MAGA media when I was in MAGA itself. I wrote for the Federalist. I had bylines in places like Fox, American Thinker, American Greatness. I even wrote for a site called WorldNet Daily, WND, which is the site that originated the Obama birther conspiracy.
Oh,
but
fun.
I knew that they had originated that conspiracy, but it didn't matter to me because what mattered and was more important was that I used that platform at WorldNet Daily to fight this political battle of good and evil versus existential threats, whether they were Democrats or liberals or progressives or anti-Trump Republicans. And, I relate to what you're saying because it got to a point where I diversified my news and information sources, and I started to realize that a lot of what I believed was false.
Yeah.
And it took me an entire year to leave because I had believed years and years worth of lies.
Exactly. And that's where my deconstruction came in real helpful. I mean, one of the things that I was raised with as a kid was Jesus did great things. And if you have enough faith in God, then you can do great things as well. You can do greater things. And they would use Lazarus as an example. So I heard a lot of preachers that were coming over visiting from Africa or that had gone to missions in Africa or South America, telling these stories about, raising the dead. And that was a bad way to set me up. But I later learned that doesn't happen. That's not a thing. And so that caused me to ask even more questions. And yeah, understanding better about legitimate subjects like science. I deal with fibromyalgia. So I needed to understand the truth about fibromyalgia. So I studied it. As far as diversifying information, I started listening to veterans. I absolutely love Jesse Delmore. He's former Marine. He grew up as a Republican, and he grew up as one of those charismatic evangelicals. And he's got some solid opinions. I like listening to him. Of course, like anybody else, I don't agree with him all the time. But yeah, that's definitely the direction I lean. And that's what got me out, was the diversification, opening my mind up just a little bit. And it ended up opening up a lot.
Yeah, that's a leitmotif throughout our testimonials, which people can find and read at LeavingMAGA.org, where people diversified their news and information sources. They started to step outside of the right-wing MAGA media echo chamber and bubble. And it opened up a whole new world of factual information for them that was grounded in reality. Jerry, I want to just tell you I appreciate so much you speaking out. I want to welcome you to the Leaving MAGA community. I also want to welcome you to the Midas Touch Network community. And we like to always end our videos on a positive affirmation. If you would join me.
Gladly.
I'm Rich, and I left MAGA.
I'm Jerry, and I left MAGA.
We're with Jerry Koch from the state of Missouri. Jerry, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak up.
Love this video? Support independent media.
So yeah, there's that. And that video led to these two wonderful people, Dylan and December, to reach out through Leaving MAGA to do an interview with me. They actually happened to work with John Fugelsang. I deeply appreciate John's work. In fact, I'm currently listening to his book, Separation of Church and Hate. And I love the fact that he took up stand-up comedy because he couldn't afford therapy. Anyway, I've got 4 clips here. They're relatively short, and I'm just going to go ahead and play through them. I've been out of MAGA for 3 years now. Well, it'll be 3 years into next month. And I think it almost feels like I've pulled out as many as I can. But then again, I'm also moving my field to the street.
Yeah.
You know, I'm taking my message to the street because there's only so much you can do in the digital environment. You really can't make real change in the digital environment.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you this. What would you say, looking back over your time with MAGA, you say you're 3 years out now, and I totally get when you say that it was similar to like a domestic violence type situation, because when I look at what Donald Trump does to his followers, he gaslights them. I'm going to release the Epstein files. I'm going to end this war in 24 hours from in day one. I'm going to have costs down. None of that shit has materialized. And then when you question it, he will call you stupid.
Right.
So you're stupid if you think that this is affordability is a hoax. Was it a hoax when you was running on it? You know, was the Epstein files a hoax when you were saying you were going to release him? And then if you go against him on the record and 10 toes down, then you are a traitor to the country. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nasty, the other guy,
you mean Marjorie
Cassidy.
Taylor Brown?
Yeah. Yes. You know what I'm saying? It's just. It has so many parallels with the domestic violence relationship. But looking back over your time in MAGA, my question is, what would you say is your greatest regret about the time you spent with MAGA? If someone says, you know what, the greatest thing that I'm redeeming myself from right now, redeeming the time, what would that be? If you said, this is the thing I regret the most about being part of the MAGA movement, what would that be?
Some of the violent rhetoric that I not only echoed but contributed to. Some of the ideas that we get in talking about on some of the panels, and Cold War vet, and when I was experiencing domestic violence, my look up was studying human torture, or the history of human torture, or every culture that I could find. And so when it came to being part of an environment that is just absolutely loaded with apathy and fueled by fear, and given a target to hate because it's unholy.
Yes.
It's demonic.
Drape it in God.
Right? It's something other than human. It made it easy to just go off the rails with some really wild thought experiments. Some that shocked some of the hardliners. I regret some. I regret those things. I do. In fact, 2 months from now, I'm getting some tattoo work because of some other regrets that I made. That's in reference to how I grew up. I don't feel that way anymore. So.
And for those that don't know, that one there is significant. Explain that one there, and that's similar to the one that Pete Hex said.
Jerusalem Cross, right?
It'll be 3 years into next month, and I think it almost feels like I've pulled out as many as I can. But then again, I'm also moving my field to the street. I'm taking my message to the street because there's only so much you can do in the digital environment. You really can't make real change in the digital environment.
Something I want to let me ask you that I think is significant. I would not be surprised if there's a parallel with many MAGA folks that they have faith traditions in cult-like faith groups or like you said, you were in this sect that was very hyper religious, very, for lack of a better word, not a secret society necessarily, but not entirely a secret society, but very strict, extremely religious, extremely probably literal with the scripture and how it implemented it. Not surprised of the racist roots at all. That's just the colonial history of Christianity in the United States. So that doesn't surprise me at all. That gentleman was one of the grand wizards or whatever he was. That shouldn't surprise anybody.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure if someone did a study, and I'm sure there will be many studies on this era of the United States, but there's probably so much parallel between folks who are evangelical MAGA folks and association with types of fundamentalist conservative sects. And when I'm saying sex, I want y'all to know I'm talking about the SECTS word that you were a part, similar to what you were a part of. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a lot of people in MAGA's roots, because it makes sense that you would go from having that upbringing where it's like no questions, follow the leader. We don't question, we obey, we do what we're told. It's us against them, and we have this leader. And it makes so much sense that folks like that would be attracted to Donald Trump. To me, it makes sense.
Racism is all out in the front with that bloviating idiot. And there's still people that run around going, I have never heard Donald Trump say a racist thing in my life. You must have had your fucking fingers in your ears, because the man says something racist damn near every day.
Or they're in denial of their own racism.
Right.
Or they just flat out don't care.
Right. They might revel in their racism. A lot of them
more than most might realize.
Yeah. So you started to deconstruct, and you started going down rabbit holes, and things started to unravel for you. But you were drawn to the MAGA movement, and then when Paula White Cain started summoning the angels that still ain't showed up yet, that was like a pivotal moment for you. And I see a lot of times on social media, I see people saying things like, well, people are leaving MAGA, but fuck them. And my part of me is like, fuck those fucking people. We tried to warn them. Like, we told them the racism, we told them the anti-immigrant, we told them the grifting, we told them all the things, right?
Corruption, yes.
The corruption and all of it. And it's like, but they didn't see it. And sometimes you have to meet people where they're at. So for people who have that idea, like, I think that if people do the work and repent, then you welcome them back in the community and all of that. So what was that process like for you? Because you seem to be, at least from what I've read and seen on the Leaving MAGA channel, folks that are leaving MAGA like you have done, at least started to do the repentance and repair work that's required to rejoin community.
Not just lip service. These are putting in the work.
So what did that process look like for you, beyond just like the disentangling and the deconstruction, but like the repentance and repair thing?
The repentance and repair has been an interesting journey over the last couple of years since I got together with my partner. I did my deconstruction in front of MAGA. I was a live streamer, and I was starting to ask questions, and I'm presenting the same information to them that I'm finding, right? And because of that, a few people came out. But once I got to the point, it's like I can't do that anymore. Like I was saying in the pre-show, I've gotten involved with an ELCA church, Evangelical Lutheran Churches of America. They're a progressive church. We're accepting and affirming, one of 3 congregations in St. Louis. She's the minister of music there.
We have a tendency to talk so bad about MAGA, right? But I'm mature enough to know that not everybody who is MAGA and not everybody who is voted for Trump is a wicked, racist, ridiculous, running around in the dark prick. And I'm mature enough to know that it is hard sometimes.
I hope I get there someday.
Yeah. But it is hard. It is hard. It is so hard not to be judgmental, and it's so hard not to just like throw everybody in a box of deplorables. But what helped us not to do that is having conversations like this.
Right.
With
Yes,
people,
absolutely.
with real people, not bots and not keyboard warriors, on the other side of wherever social media dimension.
Right.
Human beings. We got to understand there are human beings on all sides of this. There's a human on all sides of this. Thank you for your humanity. Thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your
empathy. I'll tell you one of the things that'll melt the heart quicker than anything else. And it may take a little while for the warmth to start setting in. Just a little compassion.
Yep.
Recognizing the other person as a human.
Yeah.
That can break down a lot of walls.
Absolutely.
Well, I can tell you what, having you on here tonight has helped me.
Yeah,
I have two, believe it or not, I have two uncles that are MAGA. Two, not one, but two. And when I tell you I wanted to kill both of those clowns off the high edge of a cliff, but
I just found it was easier to go no contact with my MAGA dad.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the only way.
I had to make my choices for me.
Yeah.
I'm holding myself accountable for my actions in the past, but I'm also moving forward and trying to do better as a person. And I have found other people that want to look. At the end of the day, I don't care if you pray or not. And if you do pray, I don't care who you pray to.
Right.
As long as you're a human treating our fellow humans like humans, we're probably going to get along.
That's right.
That's right. Well, I want to bring a little bit of good news because it's been a tough news week, but there have been a couple of items today that were.
It was the same pattern coming out of MAGA. When you look at Donald Trump, he's a diagnosable malignant narcissist.
Yes.
And narcissists support narcissists.
Yep.
Even and unaware ones, or the ones that don't have the self-awareness that they're narcissistic. They just have that trait, but they feel enabled. They don't care. It fuels their apathy. And
what would you say is the greatest thing that you're so proud of since you left? And we just talked about what's one of the things you greatest regret, but what is one of the things you're proud of since you left? And one of the things that gives you hope for where you're going from here, and it drives you forward from that, and empowers you to continue, and also encourages you to pull others out as you have.
What since I've deconstructed and worked on getting my life together is that the support network that I have recognizes me as the pacifist that I want to be. And that's huge. That's huge. See who I am without remembering the scars that are underneath.
Yes. So just accepting you for the evolution that you're making, accepting that it's genuine, that it's real, that you mean it, and where your heart is now, not judging you and holding you back to where you were.
Right. When I landed in that little church almost 2 years ago, they weren't quite sure how to handle this verbose and rather loud by comparison guy in his Air Force Cold War jacket. They're lifelong pacifists. They just didn't know how to handle me. And like within a year or so of being there, a little over a year being there, somebody came up to my partner and told her that we're a power couple in the church.
That's wonderful.
That comes with a lot of responsibilities I didn't know about until this
But also, let me say something to that too. Your lady friend what's her name?
Amy.
Shout out to you, Amy. Shout out to you. It's important who you link up with, right? Who you're yoked with. That's so important. There's a lot of folks who are following behind the MAGA movement because their husband is in it, or
Right.
they feel like they have to because of who they're married to. And it's so important that you're linked with a like-minded individual. That actually the scriptures speak to that. How can two walk together unless they agree? And I'm
Right.
so happy for you and for Amy that you have found each other in a place where you're evolving ever and more toward the grace and love and mission and ministry of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Not even the church, but of Christ himself. And it's powerful who you link up with. It can change your life.
We describe our relationship as mutually constructive. So, hey, Drunk Pinata, if you want to have a talk about this, if you want to actually get deeper into the conversation, I'd be more than willing to talk to you. I'd be more than willing to join you on your show. So, that said, everybody else who's watching this, well, you too, Drunk Pinata. If you've made it to the end of this video, it clues me in that you're interested in learning some truths with verifiable facts. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, and you find my information to be intriguing, go ahead and give me a subscribe if you would, please. A like if you found this incredibly informative or just informative. And please share it with anybody that you might think would benefit from it. Until the next video, please take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. Get the rest that you need. Drink plenty of fluids. And please remember, mental health matters.